Hi, Jenny.
Hi, John. Hi, everyone from Monterey, California. I'm at my grad school conference by this beautiful golf course.
And I'm at home in Portland.
Today, we wanted to speak a little bit about the letter that just came from the interim board. I don't know if you all have read it, but what I read was that the Sakyong met with two of the members of the interim board and basically empowered them to continue running Shambhala for the next 2 years. It also indicated that the Sakyong is going to continue to step back and allow the interim board, and I mean, is empowering the interim board to do governance. I don't think it was clear about anything teaching related, but it was very clear about governance. The next 2 years is going to be the interim board. And John works as his second job, or first job, really, second job, for Shambhala IT. So he works with SGS and really knows firsthand a lot of the work that they've been doing. So I am really excited to hear, John, your kind of general take on what's been going on and what the interim board has already accomplished.
Yeah. So the story was that the Sakyam first met with two members, and then he met with all of them. And so the interim board can replace itself for the next 2 years. And they have, among other things, they're going to have make some appointments that give some structure because they have been running things themselves. That is, like there are two or three of them that have been working with IT. And it's really striking to me that they have real, kind of solid organizational backgrounds. Like one of them says, "Oh, I don't know about IT, but I know how to ask hard questions." And, that ends up being such a relevant skill. So we've just dived in and worked on so many issues that before just kind of floated along and, never came to closure. So it's really very exciting to have people taking responsibility in a new way and taking responsibility based on some kind of commitment and experience that comes from outside of Shambhala. So that because we've had this history of kind of very tenuous responsibility where somebody can always jump into the conversation at the last minute and veto any decision or derail it. And I think that we have a bit of that kind of behavior, kind of experience here in Portland. Where some of us think, well, we're moving something along and it's about ready to go, and then all of a sudden someone says, "Oh, wait a minute, here's another angle, and I have legitimacy to stop what you've done." So, I think that what the interim board is doing is creating a lot of clarity about how things need to work. And their style is to say, okay, you guys need to figure out what is working for you.
Yeah, my understanding is that they've been making a lot of really big changes with a lot of skill and doing it very quickly.
Yeah.
Like the way they worked on Shambhala's finances. I know you've spoken to me a little bit about how they clean things up. I don't know if there's more, maybe for those in the community who haven't heard, could you say like a short sum?
Well, I think that they looked at the books and they said, hey, this is not sustainable. So many people lost their jobs. And now that the proceeds from the sale of Marpa House are in hand, they're saying we're going to make investments in technology, for example. And just what that means is not clear, but it is clear that that area has been had severe underinvestment for many years and confusion, like,
And
well,
Shambhala had been really in debt, right? And they just pulled Shambhala International out of debt. They
yeah,
cleared its debt, just
right.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, we're starting from knowing where we are.
yeah.
And, I think that's something that we here in Portland need to really work at ourselves. Where are we? What are the rules? How do we function? And just kind of like everybody take a deep breath and say, well, this is how we're going to do it.
Some other things that really struck me about the work that the interim board has been doing. We just learned from Cynthia McKay, who's basically John and my boss, but she's actually the boss of all the directors in the whole world of Shambhala. And she came and visited Portland and said that the interim board is right now working on a training for leadership and teachers that will be mandatory, which focuses on issues of power, like the right use of power. It also focuses on privilege, understanding discrimination, and a lot of these kind of important issues. And that it should be, I think they've set their goal as being done in 2 months. So,
Mm.
so many of us will have to go through this training to make sure, we're.
And the interesting thing, our time is up, but I think it's really interesting that, she put Portland people in touch with others who have been working on this with the idea of, Portland has been working on this and has something important to contribute.
Oh, yes. So the Care and Conduct Task Force in Portland, that's really headed by, it was started by me and Mark, Director of Societal Health and Wellbeing, and Carolyn Raffatod, and David Parker and Kristen Mullen are also involved. So we started on all of these things, one of which included a training for leadership that we thought was really important.
Yeah.
And this is something that we said, what, we don't know what's happening internationally, but we should really do this for
Yeah.
ourselves, for Portland. And then as it turns out, the interim board has been doing the exact same thing. So we're going to collaborate rather than just kind of vigilanteing it. But it was very validating.
Yeah. I think, in one email exchange, one of the people most involved with that effort at the international level pointed out that there will be pushback.
Mm.
And she said, and that's an advertisement for why we really need it. So stay tuned for more clarity.
Yeah. Thank you for tuning in. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.